television.
Hi, I'm Eric Sabri, your Wayne County Treasurer. If you're living in a home of a deceased family member and you're facing property tax foreclosure, the probate process can be helpful to you. If you file a probate petition and notify our office, the foreclosure proceedings will be halted during the probate process. Contact us at 313-224-5990 or email us at taxinfo@waynecounty.com. We're here to help.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another episode of The Week That Was. I'm Saeed Khan, and what a week it has been. An incredible amount of news, some perhaps negative, some positive, and for, I guess, most of the country who really lean into that ambivalence, there was something there for you as well.
Don't be so reductive, Saeed. Positive and negative are just... Those are Fisher-Price words for what happened this week.
I understand that. I mean, I'm not trying to be too editorially steroidal here. And besides, in the law of threes, there's positive, negative, and ambivalent. So there you go.
Okay, there you go. Right.
Don't you do any photography where you look at, things in the thirds?
Yeah, the rule of threes.
Yeah, the rule of threes.
Carry on.
Okay.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, not at all. Okay, we are joined today with our favorite pollster, Ed Sarpolus, one of our three attorneys, Joel Sklar. We have labor and community activist Barb Ingalls. We have veteran journalist Nancy Derringer, and of course, co-founder of Deadline Detroit, Allan Lengel. Well, I can think of no more fortuitous situation than having Ed here this week, because we of course had the elections on Tuesday. Not trying to profile you too much, Ed, but certainly profiling your expertise. There was quite a sweep around the country. We have a New Jersey, really what was seen as a flip, Democrat winning the gubernatorial seat there, a Democrat winning the gubernatorial seat in Virginia as well. A Muslim American, a Muslim Indian American winning the lieutenant governor's seat in Virginia. We have the Proposition 50 in California regarding redistricting passing by 2-to-1 margin. And perhaps what seems to be the biggest news nationally is Zoran Mamdani, Democratic Socialist, winning over 50% of the vote in New York City to become the mayor-elect, beating Andrew Cuomo as well as Curtis Sliwa. Where to begin? Actually, Allan, why don't we begin with some video?
Democrats have had fewer wins this year than the Jets, and so the Democrats won everything. They won big races on the East Coast. They won the little ones in the South. In New York City, Zoran Mamdani was elected mayor with more than 50% of the vote, which means your racist aunt and uncle have a new name to mispronounce this Thanksgiving. Not all New Yorkers were thrilled about their new mayor, setting supporters of the former governor greatly.
Hey, Curtis, you're a scumbag, like I said, all these months. You got 8% of the vote. You split the vote for the $7 million. You're a scumbag. I hope every New Yorker spits in your face.
How is that guy not the mayor of New York?
That guy looks like what Sam Kinison would look like at his age if he was still alive.
Complete Sam Kinison. He almost had to yell.
What other quickies?
This was not a good night for the president. Everything he touched was a loser. Trump hasn't been this embarrassed since he found out there was a Donald Trump Jr.
Speaking of catatonia, did anyone see the photo or the video of Trump in the Oval Office when some executive from Ozempic fainted and he just stood at attention looking straight ahead at the camera?
I think you're jumping the gun to Schmucks at this point when you bring that up. But you're
sorry.
absolutely no. We might as well talk about it now. It was a very weird moment. Not just that he completely failed to react to it, even to just not even looking at the guy, but RFK bolted from the office, and not in a "I'm going to get help" kind of way, but in a, because there was, anytime the president is around, there's multiple people within arm's length who know CPR and all kinds of first aid. But it was almost like he thought, you know what, fuck this shit, I got something else to do, and he just took off. It was really
But-
weird.
I thought the real clincher was Dr. Mehmet Oz, noted cardiothoracic surgeon, saying, "Is there a doctor in the house?"
Did he really say that?
Yeah, he said, "Is there a doctor here?" And I was like, "That is."
Dude.
You know, not even PhDs would say that. We would just lean right in.
Anthropology.
What caught me my attention to the fact is that the last 3 months, if you've been following YouTube or some of the other off things, Trump is being obsessed with death. Okay,
Yeah.
his own death.
His own, okay.
And so when I saw that, I says, "Oh my goodness, he's seeing himself, the age, everything like that," and he couldn't look at it. He's off in space. He stood there and went off in space. Everything I'm reading, even when you read some of the sub-reports, he's really concerned about his health and death.
Did you see?
also obsessed with this stuff.
So
Yeah.
we are joined now with public relations specialist Darci McConnell. Darci, welcome. We're
Sorry
talking
for
about-
being
No problem. We're talking about the national elections, and we're also talking about Trump entering a catatonic stupor when somebody fainted in the Oval Office. So I'm sorry. Go back. Ed.
Did you see the other picture though of him? I think it was before the fainting, where he's sitting in his chair and his eyes are closed
Yeah.
and his mouth is dragging on one side. I mean, he looked like he'd had a stroke. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me.
I guess. I mean, how does he allow Stephen Miller into the Oval Office, who looks like he's perpetually carrying a scythe and is a Grim Reaper?
Probably sucking blood out of him.
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
maybe he uses Stephen as his blood boy. You know,
So let's go around the horn with these elections. I mean, can we infer anything from them, Ed? Because it seems as though there is a lot of pushback from the Republican side saying this really doesn't matter that much. It's a nothing burger. On the other side, at least among progressives, they see this as a paradigm shift. Democratic establishment is kind of iffy. Some are saying this is a good thing. Others, like Chuck Schumer, are about as catatonic as the president.
Well, the first thing is that the Democrats won on Tuesday on the issues they lost in 24. Okay.
Explain. What do you mean?
Bottom line, the fact they didn't talk about economy, jobs, family, or anything. Because of what's happening with the shutdown, because of the ACA, they were forced to deal with those issues. Number two, the women that won, okay, they're more moderate. They come from conservative background. They didn't have to focus on women issues because I am the woman. I don't need to talk about that, okay? They focused on the issues. The other thing, the fact is Hispanics by 40% moved their vote. Men moved their vote. Everybody under, so, and also this is the largest turnout of people under 35 in history in this off term. The youth really, not the youth, but that new mature youth showed up. But the issues that the Democrats fought on were not the 24 issues. The people heard their voices because they were talking about them and they saw it.
Okay. All right. Darci, how do you see things going, particularly from a PR angle? I mean, do you see the messaging coming out of the election by both sides, Republicans and Democrats, as being helpful? Is it accurate? Is it something that they're going to build on? And how are they going to build on it?
Well, I think the as Ed said, I mean, it's in everybody's face, right? You know, there's no denying that there really aren't people who are not touched by what's happening right now. And I think that momentum has been building from every possible way, from people taking action to the No Kings protest, to you name it. And so I think that, you know, helped to coalesce things around there. But it is pretty miraculous what happened in New York in terms of GOTV. I think that's pretty amazing. We did have a deficit as it relates to young people coming into this season. So I think that's huge. I think there's still some work to be done, though, because we do have this sort of diversity of voices, right? And so we still need to do a better job articulating, you know, how we welcome everybody, how everybody can fit in here, but also what those core based messages are.
So you had somebody like hedge fund manager Bill Ackman, who did his best to go ahead and wreck students' lives and livelihoods by going ahead and trying to have their job offers rescinded for protesting on Gaza, took credit for bringing down several Ivy League presidents, including at Harvard, put in $1 million of his own money into trying to defeat Mamdani in New York. And it looks like Wall Street as a whole put in $40 million to try to scupper that campaign. They lost. Ackman then sends a conciliatory message to Mamdani saying, "Hey, buddy, if you need any help, let me know." So there is these Machiavellian efforts to try to come there. Schumer is asked, "Hey, did you vote for Mamdani?" Because he very famously did not endorse him, and all Schumer had to say was, "Well, I voted." Didn't say for whom, and then walked away.
Yeah.
Is this something that's going to resonate among the Democratic rank and file and be something to remember in 26? Nancy?
I think what you're seeing here, and I don't know, Ed would be the expert on this, but I think it's almost more of a generational thing than anything else. I think most of the people who voted for Mamdani knew that he can't necessarily fulfill every single promise he made. Maybe he can do something about free buses. I don't know what he can do about free childcare. There's apparently a commission that rent in New York City that he has power to appoint his own people to, and that may have something to do with the rent freeze. But I think what people were reacting to more than anything else was generational change.
That is true. That is true because
I think good. Go ahead. I just think that the Schumer and era is over, and they just haven't gotten the news out yet.
Well, it reminded me the late 60s and the Vietnam War. Okay. Mm-hmm. I remember being there, starting to vote and all that kind of stuff. I saw that because what you saw happening both in California and in New York is that the younger you are, the less you are concerned about race, ethnicity, and your position on religion. Okay.
Right.
Not saying that they're not religious. That's not the issue here. But the point being is they're more accepting. So when you have the Hispanics who they really hated Harris because she was denying their family a woman's role in their houses. You had the young men who were turned away. They were going to Trump. This youth generation saw themselves for the first time as the issue.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think it's just reacting to people like Nancy Pelosi finally retiring at 85. I mean, she was an outstanding House Speaker, but she, it's like, at what point did these people finally get the message that it is just time to go? New York Magazine had a pretty good story about that this week. And they were, some people were saying, they stay in and they stay in. They like the power. It's not that demanding a job. Then their spouse dies, and the staff, the office staff, is the one taking care of them. So it becomes their family. It's just
or gets beaten up in the case of Nancy Pelosi. Darci.
Well, first I think we need to acknowledge the elephant in the room, which is Cuomo, and how bad he was as a candidate. The conspiracy sister will acknowledge the endorsements of Trump and Musk et al., which to me, I think that was, more designed to hurt Cuomo than to help him. So
the kiss of death, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So I wanted to acknowledge that. And then I also wanted to say that it was also that, a lot of people sat out the election, right? It wasn't just that they weren't, going one way or the other. They just didn't participate. So the numbers were down significantly in the last presidential in a number of different categories. So I just wanted to mention those factors.
Allan.
I look at it like, how could the Democrats lose? I mean, you've got a president who is fighting to try to make sure people aren't being fed. He's fighting the whole SNAP thing. You've got the government shut down. You've got ICE going crazy, arresting citizens. You've got all this chaos. You've got the airlines now, everything is in chaos. People don't like when their lives are just so chaotic like that. And, and then you have him pushing against, the Republicans pushing against healthcare, affordable healthcare. And so you can't ask for a bigger gift than all these things for the Democrats to finally say, hey, let's get our shit together and take back, the fort.
Well, I mean, I have, and Ed, you might know this. I mean, usually the midterms are seen as a bit of a referendum on the party in power, and they lose steam, they lose some support. I'm not sure I've seen that happening in an odd year.
Here's what happens. When you go back since the Second World War, last 80 years, and this has happened about 7 times, maybe not in our mind, but the bottom line, every time, whether it's a Republican or a Democrat, doesn't make any difference. Typically, when you look, that they're projecting now because of what we saw in past history, the House Democrats could pick up as much as 37 seats. Okay, it's not okay because of what happened. Number two, if you go back in history, they could pick up where a minimum of 3 to as much as 5 U.S. Senate seats. Because as long as this momentum stays, well, the issues are not going away for the next year. I don't see that happening. So that's the drive. Okay. And so every time there is, if you look at what happened, with the first year of Clinton's year, he had problems, but the next year, or you had Bush's, except for the war, all things happen.
So on the one hand, as you said, you were talking about the shutdown, you're talking about the SNAP benefits. Right now, it looks like Trump is threatening to withhold the SNAP benefits. There's some back and forth. What's her face? Caroline Leavitt, the press secretary, says, well, we're actually going to be handing some out, maybe half as much, and they're on their way. It's just delayed. This is the spin doctoring. How much is this going to be an issue moving forward?
It's definitely going to be an issue. Because we're even talking about in Michigan. If you look at Lansing, are we going to have our money? We're losing $1.4 billion. They had to force Republicans to add $1.4 million to our own version of SNAP here in the state. It's not going away. Okay, remember the bulk of the SNAP money is going into Republican areas.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay, and that's what people don't realize. That's where in Mississippi picking up 2 Democrats. Come on.
I know, right?
Can I say one thing, and I'm not doing this to kiss up to the host, but I was shocked in a way that I haven't been.
It's by the way, it's perfectly okay.
Okay. I was shocked in a way that I've not been since 2008 at the number of right wingers, not just influencers who traffic in rage, but in even people that you would expect to be a little more responsible, referring to Mamdani as a jihadist or posting memes featuring the Statue of Liberty in a burqa. That was a popular one. And I want to know, how is calling any old Muslim a jihadist different from calling every Jew you meet a hook-nosed money grubber, or every black person, a lazy person who dances well? It's just like the crudest stereotypes possible, and they just throw them out there like it's nothing.
But Trump says it's okay. Trump says it's okay.
I guess that's part of it, but it's so demoralizing. It's like the county Republican chairman who were trading memes of Barack Obama growing watermelons on the White House lawn. It's just, and then they're like, what? It's funny. It's a joke. It's like,
well, on the other side, you have this. I talk about how shocking it is. You have Margaret Taylor Greene sounding like a Democrat this morning.
Yeah, I heard that. Yeah.
And the bottom line is she's running for president.
Okay? I don't know if I would go that far, but she's definitely saying some things that I can agree with right now.
Is that broken clock syndrome, Darcy? Twice a day.
Absolutely.
Well. To the point, Nancy. Okay. So you have your usually rodentially adjacent people like Ted Cruz and all calling him a jihadist. You've got others on the right who actually are taking it out generationally. And by the way, I do have to respectfully disagree about this whole generational thing. Did you see the number of Hasidic Jews that endorsed Mamdani? There was not one of them that was even a boomer. They were all silent generation. So this is not just a youthquake. but I think to me, Nancy, I was hardly surprised to see the right wing come out and torch Mamdani on those canards. What was really disappointing was seeing how many on the so-called left, including former Will and Grace actress Deborah Messing, who literally looks as though a chip in her head just exploded by going crazy.
Now.
Yeah,
it's terrible.
That would be Weird Al's version of Betty Davis eyes now. So yeah, that I think to me it shows then there's a chasm between the so-called Democratic establishment as well as the progressives, but then there's also this other aspect that I think over the last 2 years, Gaza has really created a cleft within the Democratic Party. And you see that people like Deborah Messing and maybe Chuck Schumer and others have used that as sort of a dividing line as to what is acceptable and what is not. because to go ahead and have Schumer be just completely silent was problematic. True, he didn't call Mamdani a jihadist, but maybe he did by omission.
You know, if somebody who just kind of paid not more than casual, but less than obsessive attention to this race. Every clip I saw of Mamdani, he was smiling. He had people cheering for him. I have not seen charisma in a politician like that since Barack Obama. And you know, he's got the secret sauce. I don't know what it is. And everything about Cuomo was he was like your angry Italian grandfather saying, "You're going to regret this," you know. And it's just, it's baffling.
Well, the other thing, that's everything you saw from a campaign thing. Mamdani was talking in TikTok language. He only had 4 seconds per segment. Stop, start a new one, start a new one. He understands the generation he was appealing to. And the other thing that's happening on the conservatives is the fact they want to make Mamdani the head of the Democratic Party. This morning, the Republicans are very upset because the governor of California may steal it away from Mamdani as the new head of the Democratic Party. He raised $100 million in less than 90 days.
Nice.
But you know, Mamdani also has an ace in the hole. He is a naturalized citizen, and so he's not even looking at the White House. It's not an option for him. So I think people
they don't care.
Yeah, and no, but I'm saying from his standpoint, he can go ahead and not necessarily have the kind of political moral hazard that somebody who is looking to run for president will. He can sort of take the training wheels off a little bit earlier and more freely than others. Allan.
What? I'm just listening. No.
Oh, okay. I thought you had your hand up. Okay, Barb.
Oh, no.
I have a question for Ed. Do you think that this is going to transfer? This is going to mean more support for Abdul El-Sayed?
No, I don't see that. He's his worst own enemy. Okay, and I don't know. Darcy had a chance to work with him, but the bottom line, the fact is that this race is very competitive. He's going to steal votes in Ann Arbor and parts of Detroit. That's where his base is. But expanding statewide, I don't see that.
Well, I would just say that he is mounting an aggressive campaign. He's gone around the state. To UP. I'm less skeptical than Ed is about his chances. So
can I ask? I was really hoping Ed would be on the show this week because I wanted to ask him, what do you think that Mike Duggan is having any second thoughts about leaving the party and running as an independent?
That started in January of this year.
Okay.
He was asked to step down. The problem is the fact is that he has problems. Well, there's reasons why he left the mayorship that I'm not going to get into, but the point being is the fact is that he doesn't know what else to do. He didn't want to take on women issues, run against Benson. Okay. Number two, he doesn't know where he wants a home, and he's a power grabber. And his staff basically is depressed with what he's doing.
Really?
And the other problem, the fact is that his biggest problem, the fact, as long as Benson outraises him, reduces his ability to win.
Okay.
Because he has to run as 2 candidates, and he's only running less than 1.
Okay. I just thought he could have been in a much better position if he had stayed in the party. And,
I agree.
And it was the kind of thing. He's like the ex-husband who leaves you when you have cancer, and then suddenly you get.
You mean Newt Gingrich?
Well, I just to clarify a little bit more, and I think what you guys are saying is that with this latest election, particularly where the Democrats suddenly looks like there's hope, and he rode the wave of no hope with the party right after the November election when things looked really bad. He's like, I'm out of here. I'm seeing a trend here of people abandoning the party. But now you're seeing like the party may be getting their shit together with the help of Trump, giving them so much ammunition. And he may regret it. The question I asked Ed is there any chance of him winning the governor's race?
Well, the issue, the bottom line, I don't want to stress money, but he needs to he has to spend almost $20 million in the primary when he doesn't have a primary to maintain his media coverage. And Darcy, you know how expensive that gets when you're trying to maintain your statewide. And number two, what are his issues? Okay, most of the money that we're talking about is MAGA money. So if I'm Benson, why is he taking all this money from MAGA supporters when you want to say you're neutral? Number three, he's having a hard time deciding what position he's going to take on an issue. Lastly, the fact the worst candidate for governor was Bill Lucas, and he got 33% of the vote. Duggan has to hope that there are two bad candidates, one on the Republican and Democratic side, that's not going to break 35%, because otherwise he can't win.
Yeah,
it's also going to be straight party voting much stronger now because of what's happening on Tuesday.
And when you say he needs to spend $20 million, can he raise that? Is that an easy raise for him?
No, it's not. Because remember, that's just for the primary to stay relative. Okay, it's what he's going to have to run not only also for the general, because we're going to have competitive governor's races. And I agree with Elsaid has got the money; he's going to work hard. So you've got all this money being spent on different races. So the point being, what I'm saying is it's going to be a tough run. Okay, the money is being strong. You got Garland Gilchrist raising money, whether he's going to win or not, but he's spending money. Okay, so Duggan has going to be lost in the shadows. If you go north of Michigan, not north of Michigan, excuse me, well, that's probably where you should be. But the point, once you get out of Detroit Metro, Mount Pleasant, his numbers keep sinking.
Mm-hmm.
Well, maybe that's because his ads on I-75 don't go over the Zilwaukee Bridge. And people haven't heard of Duggan up there. I mean, it's only basically up to the Birch Run outlets. Well, on that question, though, about a potentially bad candidate that against whom he's going to be running, John James, current congressperson from the Macomb County region, absolutely silent regarding the shutdown. Yep. There's not a word that he's giving to show his support for grinder guy Mike Johnson, the speaker, or of his president, for whom he's still trying to solicit an endorsement, not trying to create any distance from him. I mean, is this really what we're going to see?
Here's the problem. Every time he's ran for office, the only thing focused on, I'm pro-Trump. Every time he lost, is pro-Trump. If you go to his Twitter accounts, you go to all this thing, it's all about Trump. He just lost that battle with what happened. And remember, he was told to get out before. Republicans and Democrats, asked him not to run. They're downing him from the debates. He's in trouble. And the other thing, as I mentioned last week, is the fact, or 2 weeks ago, is the DeVos family is not fully committed behind him anymore. So where does he go for his money?
Right, exactly. Well, never mind. Just go ahead.
No, the point being is I'm just looking at where he won. He won Macomb County seat because Andy Levin forced the Democrats to say you couldn't win that congressional race. Otherwise, Carmen Ling would be the congressman.
Right,
okay?
Exactly.
And that's what happened. So the point being, John James has not shown much effort to win anything except when it's been given to him.
Mm-hmm. I recommend, or I heard, I was at a fundraiser for Jocelyn Benson, which I didn't go to because I'm a huge Jocelyn Benson fan, but because it was being held in a house that a friend of mine used to own, and she wanted to see her old house. So the inside of her old house. So anyway, we went. And first of all, I did have the opportunity to ask a question. I asked her about Benson, and she said the same thing. He has no path. His only role in this is to be a spoiler for somebody. And so, she hopes obvious. But then somebody else said that they had seen a billboard on 8 Mile Road that said, MAGA loves Mike Duggan. And has anybody else seen that?
I saw it. I think his ego is too big for him to do anything to be a spoiler. I don't see that scenario at all for Duggan.
He won't drop out?
No, I mean, he doesn't believe that he's being a spoiler. He really believes.
Oh no, he doesn't believe he's being a spoiler. But her point was that that's the only role he has. But the
other thing for you on Garland Gilchrist, I really didn't think of jumping on the Palestinian bandwagon, accepting endorsement of Rashida, other than hoping Benjamin in that area was a positive move if he was going to win statewide. That was the other concern I had for Garland Gilchrist.
Nancy, I didn't see that billboard, but I did see the one that said "Blue Horseshoe loves Endicott Steel." So,
well, I thought it was the MAGA loves Mike Duggan thing was, I'm almost certain, just what they used to call rat fucking. It's like somebody trying to drive Detroiters away from Duggan by.
It's a Democratic Party's behind.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. That's all.
Now, how the Democratic Party gets that money from one other candidate, that's a different story.
Yeah.
And Ed, a quick question. What percentage at some point, let's say next July or whatever, if Duggan doesn't have a certain percentage, will he feel compelled to drop out to help Benson, or if he's really just.
It depends. If his money doesn't run out, he's going to stick through it. Okay, he's not going to give up. No, he's dedicated. He's a fighter. If you ever watched him when he was, you were there, Darcy, when he was working for McNamara. Did he ever give up? No. You know, when you look at it, he just doesn't stop unless he's told to stop. And I don't see him doing that because we talked to his people. I know his staff people. He's committed right now, and they don't necessarily agree what he's doing, but he's committed.
Well, speaking of local, we had, of course, some local mayoral races. We had Mary Sheffield winning overwhelmingly with about a 50-point margin or something close. Kenson Cyber in Southfield wins re-election. And an 11-vote margin in Hamtramck right now. Adam Al-Harbi is ahead of Muhit Mahmood, who has vowed to go ahead and call for a recount. I think we have video on, Allan, some of your excellent and intrepid reporting.
This is from the day of voting in Detroit.
Oh, I think Kinloch does. Kinloch does. Churches are a huge organization, and I think, given the opportunity, I think that he would do a good job.
How would you rate Mayor Duggan in terms of his job?
Oh, I think he's done 10 out of 10.
I'm really excited about continuing Detroit's future. You know, we've been growing quite a bit in the past couple of years, and I'm really excited to keep that going. Sure. So I voted for Mary Sheffield.
Mary Sheffield.
I am a Detroiter. I've been living in Detroit my entire life. I always vote. I have never missed an election.
Oh, wow.
Sheffield.
Any particular reason why?
Yes, I do, because, and I'm going to be honest, all praise to the minister. I know he's a community activist. However, I personally like to separate state from religion.
Sheffield. Sheffield. Any particular reason? Since the campaign, I've seen her 3 times with all these buildings, senior buildings. I ain't seen Kinloch. But my thing, I'm from the old school. We don't believe in preachers and politics.
That's good.
Well,
Allan, you need to learn a trick of doing video interviews, which is don't go because it just distracts me.
Are you kidding?
It is the hardest habit to break. I've done this.
Are you kidding? It humanized everything. I realized that Allan's not a bot.
He's just rewriting an old 50s song.
So I mean, it doesn't seem as though there's any real surprises in these races. I mean, Cyber, like I said, is sort of like an old dog in Southfield, and Sheffield. It looks like maybe the margin is a little bit surprising, but she had a pretty well-oiled and well-organized campaign. But Allan, Booby, the doyen of Hamtramck in so many ways. What do you think about what's going on there? I mean, 11 votes.
11 votes. I mean, you got to do a recount with the 11 votes.
Always.
I think some of were all the absentee ballots counted too. I think there was a question about that, and there was some that were thrown out.
That's why you automatically do a recount when it's that. I mean, I don't know what the law is here.
There's at least 150 ballots that are questionable because some of them are not signed, some of them are not filled out properly. Some of them, I think, had scotch taped some hanging chads to them. So there's a lot going on there. Well, maybe not that last thing. Barb.
Yeah. Oh,
Go ahead, Allan.
All right. I was just going to say in the Detroit vote, I mean, not surprising at all, the margin there. I think it was very predictable. The last poll, WDIV and Detroit News had her ahead by 50 percentage points. She won by 54 percentage points. He could have poo-pooed that when he was on WDIV. Kinloch kind of dismissed it and said, I don't know where they're getting that from, but I'm on the ground here and I'm not hearing that. Well, it's hard for a candidate to hear it.
Well, Allan, he was told 3 weeks before the election that he was going to lose.
Yeah. And what did he say?
He didn't believe the numbers. I'm not going to tell you who, another pollster. I'm just kidding. But he was told he was going to lose.
Yeah, I just think that, I think we can all agree it was a horribly run campaign. Like, we don't know to the extent that they did GOTV on doors. I did hear they did a decent amount of phone banking, but, that could be extremely tricky in 25 when most people don't answer calls from unknown numbers. But, he could have gained some momentum because he still outperformed to me in the primary. He did better than expected. But in the end, I think he had too many people from his church that were involved with the campaign. And what happens in that scenario, this is like true believer syndrome. So they're not going to be truth tellers, right? They may not say, hey, we are getting whooped here. We got to step it up and do A, B, C, D, E.
And also, you probably heard the fact the people that promised him money never gave him the money in the general.
Well, and I also think he struggled with balancing his church duties, what everybody anticipated, balancing his church duties with trying to be on the campaign trail. So I predicted it was going to mirror Archer Vaughn, so I was a little bit off, but that was like 84-16. So
well, plus, I mean, wasn't like most of his calls a long distance number from Detroit, at least his home phone number.
You mean his mansion?
Yeah. Oh yeah, Allan.
I think it's interesting that people I talked to, this didn't come up at all. There was some reporting done originally by Charlie Ladoff and then by Deadline Detroit and then by some other publications about Mary having a relationship with somebody who went down to Atlanta or Miami, to stay at a hotel over the weekend. And she approved, just in that year that she went down to the hotel with him, she approved over $4 million in contracts. They came out and they handled it so poorly. They came out and first of all, her chief of staff said she never approved any contracts for him, which is just totally not true. And then she also said that she went to the ethics board to ask them if she needed to disclose that, which to me is like, it's a no-brainer. And then she claimed that she was told that if she's in attendance of the council, she has to vote, which I've never heard of. And maybe Darcy, you've covered City Hall and stuff like that. I've never heard of that, where if there's a clear conflict of interest, that you shouldn't recuse yourself rather than, I've got to vote. And the other thing is, I mean, even if you voted against it, I mean, you just shouldn't vote on it. What if it was good for the city and your, animus toward that person impacted your vote that could have harmed the city? I mean, it's just clearly, but it didn't register with any of the people that I talked to on Tuesday.
Well, the only thing that's going to hurt her is I've already heard through the grapevines of people working over there is that some of the people that want to go work for her are not because of that issue.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's going to impact her going forward until that gets cleaned up. I mean, we all hope for the best for her, but it's always impact some of the people that you wanted to come and work for her. They said no because they're concerned.
Just real quickly, it depends on your city charter. So actually, when I was on council, we didn't have that option. So you did have to vote. You couldn't abstain.
Oh, really?
Correct.
Oh. Wow.
Wow.
That's crazy.
That is a surprise. All right. Well, it was also a momentous week as far as passings go. Former vice president, former chief of staff, former congressman, is now quite former. Dick Cheney passed away at the age of 84, and we seem to have an approbation about that from Barb. Tell us how you really feel.
Yes, Satan. That man was a blood-drip war criminal. He gave us the green light on torture. He gave us a war for nothing. He was responsible for the death of thousands and thousands of Iraqi citizens.
Actually, somewhere between 4.5 to 4.7 million, but that's just a couple.
Well, there you go. And come on, Saeed, here you are. What he did to American service people and the contempt he had for the rule of law and for democracy, for all those things and more, and the fact that he literally did not have a heart. He had a little machine planted in so he just could keep going. I am so glad he is in hell where he belongs.
So do you think...
Say hi to Henry Kissinger.
Barb, do you think then, given that on the Day of Judgment, do you think he'll be subjected to enhanced interrogation techniques?
I don't think so.
He's going to be waterboarded.
I don't even believe in hell, but just for him, and you're right, for Kissinger. Those are.
Although I have to say, it may be a little mitigating circumstance there, but Trump has helped sort of resurrect, I think, in all people's eyes, Bush and Cheney, who came out against Trump standing out. So I don't know if that makes any difference, but
people are complicated. This is like you saying Tony Soprano was basically a good guy. Like, no, just because a bad person does one good thing doesn't automatically like make them a good person. I mean,
No,
who ate all the gabagool?
No more gabagool.
Now, Nancy, you clearly
Dan Quayle and Mike Pence go. I rest my case. What,
Nancy, clearly in the rarefied environs of Grosse Pointe, you've never had to deal with delays in the garbage pickup.
Oh,
yes. Tony Soprano makes sure that your garbage is picked up on time. I think that's a redeeming quality.
I also would like to say that George Bush can hurry up and go join his vice president in hell.
I don't know what kind of shape
Joel,
George W.
Joel, what do you think about the legacy of, as what's his face, Chris Matthews would always remind us, Dick Cheney?
Cheney, yes.
My memory of him, is that he was a villain. He was soulless. That's how I saw Dick Cheney. The fact that he had a heart was amazing to me. So I was never a fan. He was overly aggressive. Again, we're in the shape we're in now because of what Cheney, who's I think had an amazing amount of influence on Bush, especially in foreign policy, that we're in the situation we're in now because of those decisions. Just like the decisions we're making now will affect us 20 years later when other people pass on and people say, thank God. The lives of these politicians and these men, and also women, I guess, with Pelosi, who try to seize power and just ride that for all it's worth and squeeze what they can out of it, it is a very strange. I'm not in that position. I don't know how the ego works like that, but I see this kind of in the Hugseth, but he's doing with these extrajudicial killings. There's a sense that I know everything, I'm right, everybody else is wrong, and only I can make these calls. And I think that's what Cheney was. And I think that's what what Trump is. And I think many in his administration are. They don't give a shit. They just want the ends, the means justify the ends, and they'll do whatever the hell they got to do to get it. And that's what his legacy is to me.
Yeah.
Thank you for the comment by Smash the Number saying, say what you will about the show, but it's definitely unfiltered. Thank you. Except actually, my complexion isn't usually this light. So there are some filters that are involved, but thank you for that. Yeah. So
do a commercial.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Eric Sabri, your Wayne County Treasurer. If you're living in the home of a deceased family member and you're facing property tax foreclosure, the probate process can be helpful to you. If you file a probate petition and notify our office, the foreclosure proceedings will be halted during the probate process. Contact us at 313-224-5990 or email us at taxinfo@waynecounty.com. We're here to help.
I'm sorry, I thought we'd go into commercial a little bit earlier. Barb.
I also, I think that this whole conversation, though, explains a little bit about why Zoran won so hugely is because he ran a positive campaign. He didn't, we kind of laughed at Cuomo. He stayed on point, and you're right, he was on TikTok time, but everything was, this is how we're going to help New Yorkers. This is how we're going to help. We're going to help. We're going to help. And I think that that's the same in Virginia, and the same. This is how people do it. In my little city of Royal Oak, we had the ugliest, stupid campaign against the mayor and the city council, and all the opposition did was go, "This is horrible, parking, building," and it's like people went, "Fuck off." And I think that this was a giant vote for a little bit of optimism. And
it wasn't the case. One of the I can't remember, Virginia, New Jersey, where the mother turned around and says, "Hey, you got to take care of your bedroom." Okay, right in the middle of her speech. Now that was really humanistic, and the daughter got caught off guard. Yes, Mom, I will.
Well, I noticed that you were talking about how all John James has ever done is say, "I love Trump. Pay attention to me, Mr. President." But one of the things that Trump threatened to do in the New Jersey case was he threatened to cut off federal funding for that infrastructure tunnel that they're putting in.
They did.
And they did, exactly. And whoever the Republican was who was running against Mikey Sherrill refused to say that was a bad thing. Now, imagine that happening any major infrastructure project, which is going to help the state. I mean, what kind of evil spell has this idiot, this, stroked out, doddering grandpa that goes like this all the time and thinks he's so cool? What kind of spell has he cast on the party that they can't even say, I'd like to respectfully disagree.
Is that Nancy? Is that Dottering or Daughtering?
Doddering. Yeah,
I thought you meant daughtering. Yeah, given his view about Ivanka. But on that point, who else we really didn't hear from regarding the New Jersey race was Chris Christie.
Yeah,
he seemed to be eerily silent. And Ed, do you think that that's one of the reasons that they didn't want to throw their support behind a MAGA candidate with Citarelli?
Well, you got to understand, Chris Christie behind the scenes has helped Democrats quite often.
Yeah,
that is not unusual for him being quiet, because remember, they didn't leave. Trump and him did not leave on good terms.
Yeah. Well, he's kind of like, Nancy, maybe this Tony Soprano of the Republicans, misunderstood, but actually has a heart. Anyways, this story really kind of amazed me. And Joe, I'd love to hear the legals on this. It looks like the state has suspended the license and shut down LaFontaine GM in St. Clair, accusing them of selling used loaner cars as new.
Well, that would be fraud.
Yeah, that's fraud.
Pretty much it. It's some legal analysis. That sounds like fraud.
Okay, I mean that must
I don't think you had to have gone to law school.
No. It violates the Consumer Protection Act. Want some more? I got some. Yeah, it's not uncommon in a lot of the the car sales or whatever that this is. Selling motor vehicles, and that's why the laws were passed, really, that you have to get your parts back. You may not know this, but if you do go to a shop to get your car fixed, you're entitled to see your parts that they have replaced. So, somebody trying to pull a trick, I
didn't read past the headline on that story. Did they actually roll back odometers?
I didn't read the whole thing.
Well, there's an update, though. They've already been allowed to sell again and given a fine. So, it was a very short-lived. Yeah, exactly.
Huh.
Won't do it again.
All right.
He said it was just a paperwork, some kind of data entry error.
Listen, everybody makes a mistake.
It didn't help Mr. Lundegaard in Fargo, so I don't know why it's going to help these guys over here. Well, in other news, it looks like two people, including a former official at the Wayne County Treasurer's Office, pleaded guilty to federal charges in a bribery case that involves stealing homes from dozens of residents. We have John Tate Jackson, a former taxpayer assistant in the Wayne County Treasurer's Office, and Zena Thomas, a director of homeowners programs for the United Community Housing Coalition, a Detroit nonprofit that helps low-income residents. That is quite a shockwave, isn't it? Anyone?
I think that's so. It's pretty pervasive all around the country, that type of deed. Fraud.
Allan, really? Whataboutism? I mean, can we not aspire to something more?
No, I mean, it's horrible. It's a shanda.
There you go. Thank you.
Basically a shanda.
Now, just remember, for $15 a month, that would not have happened.
Also true. Well, one item I think that we really ought to get to is Detroit has seen the departure of another big name in media, and that's radio personality Warren Pierce, passed away at the age of 82. I just wanted to see any reflections from our esteemed panel on how they saw Warren Pierce. Allan.
I listened to him as a kid. I thought he was great. I thought he was very provocative, very intelligent. I thought he had a great show.
Was he on with J.P. McCarthy, or when was
same era? Yeah,
same era. But what was his? What time
yeah.
of day? I know it was WJR. What time of day was he on?
I think Warren Pierce was in the afternoon. Nighttime. Yeah,
afternoon drive time. Okay, all right.
I would have to say that he helped get my business started. There were times when I was calling in or something like that. That's when I was starting my working with the WGR. He'd be, hey, I've got some dead time. You want to come on? You got something we can talk about. He was very helpful that way. And I have to thank Warren Pierce because he was one of the person that gave me that time on WGR. even despite the hour, that it was very, very kind of him.
Well, that station has certainly come a long way from having him as drive time to now having afternoons with Mitch. So there
I first moved here.
Anyone listen to Mitch?
I do actually. When I first moved, I've started listening to AM radio as an experiment. Last Saturday, I was going to the Eastern Market, and I go early because I like to actually buy food and not, bump asses with every other person in Detroit. But I was listening to this show on NPR, and it was yet another show about how do we reach out and mend our differences? How do we start talking to people on the other side of our politics? Blah blah blah. And it's like, I am so sick of this shit because we are the only people who do this. But just to be sure, I switched over to AM, and I've started listening to WJR and that one that's at 13 or 1400. I think they used to call themselves the Patriot, and now they call themselves the Answer. And they have the Charlie Kirk show and all that stuff. And I have news for you guys. They are not talking about joining hands across the chasm of our differences. Okay, they are calling us terrible names. They're calling more Zoran Mamdani a jihadist. They're just it's awful. And so when I listen, I listen to Mitch. And when I first moved here, at least a few times, when I first moved here, I was never a big fan of his, but I tuned in, listened to him a little bit, and I thought, this is the place for Mitch Albom, because in this right-wing fever swamp of craziness, he came across as basically a normal guy, right? He's just like, maybe he's more conservative than you are, maybe, but he kind of sounded like a lamb in a forest full of wolves. Well, now he's just one of them. He has these kind of glib takes on, for instance, when those two household workers in Smokey Robinson's home sued him for sexual assault, he just decreed this couldn't possibly be a valid case because Smokey is an old man and he's given us so much, so the hell with that. We're just not even going to talk about that. So, I mean, he's just become as bad as they are. He's not as crazy. He's not as frothing, but he's definitely conservative now. He's no longer the lamb in the forest. He's just like, the wolf that stays behind and, sweeps out the den or something. But what a terrible metaphor that is. Sorry.
Okay.
Talking about Mike Valenti on 7.1. Well, I listen, particularly after a game. If I'm watching it at friends and I hop in the car, I'll listen to it. But it kind of gets so much whining and hand wringing at some point. Yeah, it gets a little nauseating at times. But
ball sports. So we're talking about sports that are played with the ball as opposed to like swimming, track.
Right. They do not talk about swimming. Pretty sure they do not talk about track. And more basic food groups, and
we're not talking about something that might have a different definition in the Urban Dictionary,
or use the metric system at all.
Curling, it's an offense. It's a joke. Anything, Australian.
Okay.
There's that story that Steve Fishman sent us all last week about gambling and the effects that the legal gambling has had on sports. That was very eye-opening, and it was really depressing. And you talk about getting angry. It's those guys. I mean, athletes are dealing with death threats because they didn't cover the spread. I mean, this is insane.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway.
Yes, to our listener, I don't think Mamdani can actually implement any more Sharia law in New York City because all of the halal food carts are already doing that. So thank you.
And all these people that keep talking about women in burqas, have they seen his wife? She's beautiful. I assume she's a Muslim. She's beautiful. She doesn't even wear a hijab.
She's Syrian American. She was born in Houston, and the New York Post today said the Mamdani's aloof wife was orchestrating his campaign from behind. The last time I saw somebody who's spoken even less than Mrs. Mamdani or Miss Duwaji, her name, is probably Melania Trump. So maybe some of these people who are criticizing should actually try to be best. Allan, I think the over and under on us coming back from the next segment is 100%. So let's do that.
Downtown Detroit, Robert Wells, Schmuck of the Week.
All right. So, Darci, who is your schmuck? And I seem to recall, Darci, that way, way back, you believed that there were no schmucks and that you wanted to keep it positive. So thank you for coming over to this side.
No, I thought maybe we could do both, right? You know,
Okay.
Have a positive one as well.
There you go.
But anyway, I'm gonna go with Cuomo because you know, as we've already discussed here, people need to know when to sit down. He could never pronounce his opponent's name properly. To me, he didn't finesse the Musk-Trump endorsement things. He never fully made an act of contrition to even start to compete in this race. So, Cuomo, you're my schmuck of the week.
All right. Joel.
Okay, I'm going to go with two. One is Nick Fuentes, who is going to be the best friend with J.D. Vance, and he's just an avowed white supremacist. And it's terrible. So he's going to take over the mantle of Charlie Kirk, who he hated. They hated each other. They feuded. This is a classic MAGA, stuff where they're all going to splinter. But he's trying now to take that. He's a dangerous person. To give him a national platform is terrifying. So he's awful. The other thing I was just going to note is I think that the Solicitor General's argument on tariffs I listened to, and the idea that tariffs are incidental, the revenues are incidental to what's happening is an absurdity. It's the use of semantics. Tariffs are obviously a tax. They're obviously revenue producing. That's what Trump is trumpeting, so to speak. So I think that the Supreme Court is has as much doubt as I do. And I think they're going to affirm the lower court. They're not going to give up on this one. They see that the executive office is getting way out of hand. They did it. They're going to try to rein back the monster a little bit. Not going to be able to do that. And if they rule that the tariffs aren't constitutional, you can't do it. It's really Congress's job with the purse. What is Trump going to do? He's going to ignore it. And then what are you going to do? Then who's the executive office is supposed to, enforce the laws? Ain't going to happen. So it's a really interesting. What we're going to see is going to be just very interesting how it plays out.
So Joel, your comments about Nick Fuentes, this doesn't bode well for J.D. Vance's second marriage, which we all know is coming to.
Well, also him just
to the Whitaker
because she hasn't converted to Christianity. They would prefer she did. What the fuck? I mean,
who talks about like that about his wife?
Honestly,
while being flanked
embraced
by the widow who puts her hand in your hair in her skin tight leather pants.
And also, there was a film of her putting eye drops in her hand before she went out to cry. That was on Reddit. It's just insane. But yes, he is very dangerous, and the tariff thing is an absurd argument to make that it's not revenue producing or tax. That's not.
I thought Usha's response would have been like the wife in Airplane saying, "Funny, JD never asks me to roll my fingers through his hair at home." Right, Barb.
I'm going with Gannett / USA Today Company. They changed the name of Gannett to USA Today Company because they said that people knew what USA Today was, and they didn't know. So since 1923, Gannett Company is no longer. When I worked for that company, they would regularly change the name of the company that I worked for. And they would have to buy new carpets and new swag and new messenger bags and new business cards, and which costs a lot of money to do all that stuff. And then a year later they would do it, and none of it masked the fact that their papers got worse and worse and smaller and smaller. And I counted at the AV board this week. My husband and I counted absentee ballots. And I from us had a paper, and I honestly thought that it was like an advertising circular. I really did. I'm not even being a smart ass right now. And he put the paper down, and I looked, and it was like, that's the free press. Oh my God.
I haven't seen a copy of USA Today in the wild in years. You used to always get it if you stayed in a hotel, and last few hotel stays I've had never saw it. So
last few hotels I've stayed, they don't even give you quarters for the machine that's on the nightstand, Nancy. So, but
magic fingers.
But Barb, I mean, were the different carpets, were they red, green, blue, and purple by any chance?
I started working and they were Detroit Media Partnership. No, Detroit Newspaper Agency. And then it was Detroit Media Partnerships. And then they took the word media completely out of it because basically they weren't doing it anymore. And they were Michigan.com.
You know, I was in high school when USA Today came out, and Lapeer didn't even have a kiosk. And I drank the Kool-Aid. What's that?
You mean
oh yeah, I mean Lapeer. And so I got caught up in all of the excitement about the paper, so I drove down to Lake Orion, which was the closest that I could find a kiosk. Yeah, because of course they were very
TV. It was so cute.
It was so cute, exactly. I'm like, where's that TV kiosk?
And it was cute news.
I did the loan program at USA Today, and famously worked on the rewrite desk, and actually got a front page story because, you know, what's better than writing about the weather in Michigan, you know? So that's what I made the front page.
Darci, the back page with that color coded thing, so you could find out what was the temperature in Juneau.
Yeah,
that was critical. Okay, Ed.
The rewrite desk, that would be a great job.
No, that was the worst job. It's basically
it really was. Okay.
All your colleagues work from the day. And
I could do it with the phone, like on my like this going, man, this Lengel guy cannot write. Okay, you know, so I'm going to take, but don't worry, I'm going to take care of it. So anyway,
well, the highlights and lowlights. I interviewed Ross Perot, and the low light was I left a voicemail for the head of NAMBLA.
Nancy, oh my God.
Nancy, you'll be hearing.
How strange was that voicemail? Well, hello, this is John from NAMBLA.
Like nothing, you don't worry.
I'm a babysitter by trade.
It was so disgusting.
I'll go to camp.
Nancy, you'll be hearing from my lawyer.
Very, very quickly here, on the lighter side, I cannot believe that, Kat Patel complaining about the fact that he had to take a government plane to go on a date. Okay?
Oh, yeah.
And then that was just insane. And the other one to me is just talks about, I thought we'd go into something more humanistic. The one of the producers of the Miss Universe called the Mexican universe person dumb, okay, and created a walkout. I thought that was really, really low ball. And lucky she got some people to walk out with her, but I thought that was my daughters participated in some, not like that level, but the stress those ladies go on, and then to call that lady dumb was really, really bad.
So those are your schmucks of the weekend?
Yes.
Can you imagine that after flying in on a private jet, that Kash Patel's girlfriend still didn't give him any love?
Yeah.
I mean,
Kash Patel, when he works on the dating apps, he has to set a very wide radius because he's not. If he tries to go within 20 miles of his own location, he's not going to get anybody willing to date him.
Barb, why don't you follow up with your second schmuck?
I forgot about that. The guy that on camera grabbed the president of Mexico's, kissed her on the cheek.
Oh, yes.
He tried to put his hands on her. He tried to honk the horn.
I don't know if he ever made contact, but he was.
No, he did.
He did.
He had his hands coming up on her chest from behind. It's unreal.
And then she was criticized for not turning around and punching him in the nuts. And it actually turned into a decent conversation about how women have to deal with this kind of behavior. And you think about when Taylor Swift, when the guy on camera stuck his hand up her skirt twice, and then was pissed that she sued him for sexual assault. And
the president's speech after that was really good too. Did you hear her speech? That was really nice. I mean, that was well done.
Yeah. I can say that didn't happen in that photo with me and Shri. He never touched me.
Just his eyebrows.
Yeah. I mean, that look on my face isn't something untoward. My hand is actually
on his shoulder. Yeah, I see that.
All right, Nancy.
Oh, Jeanine Pirro. who, when a grand jury refused to return an indictment of the guy who threw the sandwich at the ICE officer, maybe it was a Border Patrol officer or National Guardsman, one of those guys, refused to take the L and go back to work on something with a little more substance. She actually brought a jury trial against this guy, Sean Dunn of Washington, who threw the sandwich in a D.C. court, and a misdemeanor charge, a jury trial for a misdemeanor charge, go figure, and lost again. And but before the office lost, provided us with a couple days of hilarious news stories to read when the guy they actually said threw the sandwich at point blank range. Okay, and then the guy said, I had an onion hanging from the antenna of my radio, and I could smell the mustard.
Right, that was great.
And he felt the pressure on his chest when it was thrown on him.
Yeah, he felt the pressure, and it exploded everywhere. And then his lawyer is showing a photograph of the sandwich on the sidewalk, which is still in its wrapper. So I mean, it was
stale sandwich.
Hilarious, and of course he was acquitted. And it's like, yes.
Is there a chalk outline and police tape around the sandwich landed?
It's a foot long.
Yeah,
Allan.
I wonder if that's a good thing for Subway. That
it's got to be better than what happened with
the problem with Jared.
Yeah, honestly.
It wasn't even a $5 fine.
I'm going to go with Bill Pulte, who is just, I think, disgraceful, who heads the Federal Housing Finance Agency. They have just fired. I mean, I don't think he had the authority to do it, but Trump did it, but it was obviously because of him. They just fired the interim inspector general over his agency, who happens to have been a Metro Detroiter native who worked for the U.S. Attorney's Office here in Detroit, who's just a totally upstanding human being and government worker. They fired him, and it came just a few days before that Inspector General was going to fire off a letter to Congress saying that the agency was not cooperating. And just to note also that he's nearly, I think, one of 24 inspector generals who oversee Inspectors General. Okay, thank you.
Wow. That was a Danny Kaye movie.
Inspectors General who have been removed, and we're talking 24, and they're supposed to oversee fraud. And look, this agency is running amok. And in fact, his parents are involved in the same type of mortgage fraud that he's accusing everyone of. And there's also cabinet members who have the same issues over mortgage. So it's such a scam. And Trump is just removing any guards to protect us from fraud that we're seeing at every level of government. So anyways.
All right. Well, I've got a couple here. Number one, and Darcy, this one's for you because it's got a schmuck and it's got a hero or a shiro. And that is the Israeli military. There was a video showing members of the IDF raping a Palestinian detainee. The courageous person was actually the top lawyer for the IDF, Major General Yefat Tomer Yerushalami, who went ahead and leaked it. And the way that it worked is Netanyahu was most concerned with who leaked it than the actual underlying crime itself. She had to go into hiding, but then she reemerged and she was summarily arrested. The rapist himself is actually making the rounds on Israeli media and is actually boasting about what he did. But hats off to Major General Yefat Tomer Yerushalami for her courage in showing what was going on. The other two are FIFA head Gianni Infantino. The World Cup is coming in part to the U.S. along with Canada and Mexico next year. And by the way, isn't Infantino, doesn't that mean little infant? And isn't that a bit tautological?
Yeah, I guess it's like,
okay.
Yeah, okay, I agree.
I mean, I guess a little infant would be like fetus or embryo,
creamy or something. I don't know.
Okay, so John Little Infant hinted at giving Trump the first FIFA Peace Prize to show people who have tried to go ahead and end conflicts, which the last time I checked was usually the referee in handing out yellow cards and red cards, but be that as it may. And then also the gift that keeps on giving, Kim Kardashian, star of a show that was developed by Ryan Murphy, he of Glee, American Crime Story, and American Horror Story. Well, I think he has finally hit his upper limit here with a show called All's Fair, which is about a bunch of female lawyers, including such A-list people as Naomi Watts and Sarah Paulson. Well, the show registered a 0 on Rotten Tomatoes and is now vying for being one of the worst television shows ever. And it reminds me of a British Guardian review of none other than Mariah Carey, who was in the movie Glitter, in which it said, and I quote, "As for Miss Carey, who was comfortably outacted by the cherrywood kitchen countertop in the scene." So, yeah, I think that Miss Kardashian. I think for that, Kim Kardashian, Gianni Infantino, and certainly the people trying to persecute the IDF top lawyer for being a whistleblower.
The best comment I saw about that, the FIFA Peace Prize, was nobody does corruption like FIFA. Like, I mean, it's like they just broke through they broke their own record. So yeah, there you go.
Keep it on going. Can you imagine the merch? I mean, there was some match and Trump actually stole the trophy.
Yeah, he did.
From the winning team. Yeah. So there you go. Anyways, thank you for yet another terrific week that was. Thank you, Joel Sklar. Thank you, Ed Sarpolus. Thank you, Darci McConnell. Thank you, Barb Ingalls. Thank you, Nancy Derringer. And thank you, and always with the last word, Allan Lengel.
Drive home safely.
Take care, everybody. Bundle up.